Showtime is here, no time to fear. Carell is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Carell is the one that you need to know. Now it's showtime.
There is one thing on which I think we all can agree. Nothing makes any kind of sense in these modern times. We're going to talk about some of these glaring inconsistencies and a whole lot more on today's Carell Show. Don't go anywhere.
Now it's showtime.
It is the Carell Show. I am Carell. So very glad you are joining me. Happy Monday, June 8th. I'm so glad you are here. I'm so glad we are here. We traversed all the way to California and back, and we have lived to tell the tale. We got a lot to talk about today, including Trump, just that word. I mean, people have been talking for 10 years now, nonstop, about that word, Trump. I so wait for the day. Oh, sweet Jesus, sweet little baby Jesus on the cross of Mary. I wait for the day when we never say that man's name again, except to utter, oh, did you hear he's in jail, or did you see he died, or whatever. But right now, we got a lot to talk about with him. And on my trip, I really had a lot of time to think in the car, in the 4.5 hours from here to LA and then back again. And it really made me think about the world in which I live and you live, and what is going on in it, and how so much of it does not make sense. And then we're going to talk about a big decision my doctor has given me. It's one so many of you might be facing these days. And we'll talk about what I think I'm going to do, or I don't know what I'm going to do, and all of that. But the trip itself was great. Ember and I, traversing. I rented a Kia Niro. Oh my God. I love the Kia Niro. This is the second time I've had that. It's a little mini SUV, 11-gallon gas tank, gets over 70 miles. When I filled up here in Vegas, I went all the way to Long Beach, which is like 280 miles. And then I tooled all around Long Beach for 3 days, and then drove a quarter of the way back, and then had to get gas. And now I still have half a tank of that. So I used a tank and a half to go to and from Long Beach in this hybrid Kia Niro. It's really cool. Although I got to tell you, some of the stuff that's on it, I'm like, first of all, after you've been driving for 2 hours, a little thing of coffee pops up on the dashboard and says, maybe it's time to take a break. I'm all, bitch, you ain't the boss of me. Don't be telling me what to do. Although she was right. The last day and a half since I've been back, I've been having neurological symptoms. And my doctor, who I emailed, thinks it's because of the 5 hours sitting, 2.5. I would take a break in Barstow. Leave Vegas, stop in Barstow, and then continue on, and then leave the valley, stop in Barstow, and then continue on. Because about halfway. So my carpal tunnel that I have, it made my pinky or my thumb start to twitch uncontrollably 2 nights ago, Saturday night, just sitting there doing this. I'm like, okay, isn't getting old so much fun? Woo! Isn't it joyous? So we have that going on. But it was a great trip. I saw a lot of friends, and I got melancholy, of course, about the weather. It was 60 degrees and June gloom. And I'm like, oh, this is so fabulous. Didn't have to wake up and rush to exercise with Ember. It was really cool. But then, of course, I was climbing the bluffs in Long Beach, going up the stairs from the beach up to the bluffs, get up to the top. This 50-plus-year-old man is talking to somebody in a 3-wheeled scooter. And I just walk past him. I don't say a word, nothing. Just walk past him in one of the gayest cities around with pride flags everywhere. And he looks at me and goes, are you gay? And I look back and I go, why? Are you interested? Because that's the first thing that came to my mind. And he goes, no, I just hate fags. And I go, well, you're in the wrong city, and we're probably not fond of you either. And then he started spouting all this horrible hate speech. And I just stopped. I said, whoa, slow your roll, dude. Dude, what the hell? I'm just walking here, And so he goes to reach for a weapon. He goes, he said, I'll fucking take you out. I don't even know what I did to the guy. And he goes to reach in his pocket. Okay, so true story. I bring my gun when I travel. And I had forgotten it in the center divider of the car for a day and a half. So when I parked that morning, I thought, you're not leaving it in the car. Someone could break into the car, take it, murder, your fingerprints would be on it, so no, take it with you. So I had it in my bag, which, yes, is illegal. And I didn't mean, but it was either that or leave it in the car. So I didn't know what to do. But I thought the best thing was to take it with me so then I could put it in my luggage when I get back to the hotel. So he reaches in his pocket. So I reach in my bag and pull out my little .38 snub-nosed revolver. And I said, you fucked with the wrong fag. I'm armed, dude. And he looks and he turns and scatters. And so did everybody else.
Visiting reallycorrell.com,
and then I put it away.
You're missing out. Get the podcast, videos, and the blog, including recipes, at reallycorrell.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Corel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Corel is the one that you need to know.
And FYI, I truly thought he was reaching for a weapon of some kind. And he was. He pulled out a knife. He brought a knife to a gunfight, so he fled. And then I called 911 and told them exactly what happened. I even told them about, the whole... And she was like, well, sir, that, it's illegal. I said, well, sorry, I'm from Nevada. We have open carry in my state and, just sort of used to it. But anyway, so they were fine with everything. They were like, well, just go on your merry way. So I went on my merry way. And then I was eating breakfast, and when I don't understand. Today's show is about how there's a lot of things that just don't make sense. Okay. So I understand that fuel prices are artificially inflated, and they are. We need to stop acting like it is the war in Iran that is causing the fuel prices to be inflated. It's not. First of all, the oil that we are using came from Iran or through the Strait of Hormuz a year or two or more ago. Okay, so that's the first thing. Second of all, oil companies are making $30 million an hour. $30 million an hour in profits. So how are we allowing gas to be so expensive? There should be some revolt about it or something. If the oil company, why aren't they, war profiteering is illegal. Okay? It is not legal to war profiteer. You cannot make money off of a war. That's illegal. And yet we're letting these people make money off the war. And I don't understand it. Now I'm going to show you a picture. This picture is not uncommon, okay? It's also, why does it import sideways? You know what? I'm just going to show it to you sideways. I'm not going to deal with this. I'll just show you the picture sideways. It imported sideways, but you'll get the point. Can you read that sideways? Because look at what it says. Can you see that? It is. I realize it's sideways, but can you see what it says? Do you see how much gas is? Do you see that? It is just, and that is not aberrant. Okay, that is not something that's like, oh no, Corel, that's, nope, this is not aberrant. This is how much gas is. And I will say that, yeah, the Shell station was a little bit pricey. Okay, so there were a little cheaper places. I turned it right side up for you. $6.79. Do you see that? For regular. $6.99 for premium. The cheapest gas that I could find in Long Beach was $5.69 a gallon. The cheapest. And that doesn't make sense to me because we know that the oil companies are making $30 million an hour in profit. We know that. Which means that doesn't have to be that price. Okay? And according to Donald Trump, we don't even rely on foreign oil. We produce all of our own. So if none of our oil has to go through the Strait of Hormuz, if we are producing all of our, see, no one ever questions him. And that's what we're going to be talking about today, how that doesn't make sense. He says that all of our oil comes from America. Okay, great. Well, then why is it so expensive? But why doesn't anyone ever put those two things together? That makes no sense. If all of our oil comes from our country, then hypothesis, then gas should not be the price that it is. That's science. That's logic. That's common sense. And then, I see why restaurants are half empty. I really do. My first night in Long Beach, I found a Mediterranean restaurant right around the corner. And it wasn't really upscale. It's not like a dirt poor place, but it wasn't upscale, just a regular restaurant. I went over to it. I want you all to guess in the chat room at youtube.com/Willie Carell, how much do you think I paid for a bowl of lentil soup, a fattoush salad, and a cup or a glass of mint iced tea? How much do you think it was for one bowl of soup, one salad, and one drink? I mean, that's not ordering up. There were no appetizers. It was one bowl of soup, which was less than 8 ounces of soup, one salad, which was just on a salad plate. It wasn't, like enough for the table, and one drink that was not refillable. One iced tea, mint iced tea, not refillable. How much do you think that was? I will not say until a little later. I want you guys to guess, okay? So one bowl, basically a ladle full of lentil soup, one fattoush salad, and one glass of mint iced tea. How much do you think that was? The next day I had breakfast in my room. I bring an ice chest. I'm glad to see I wasn't alone. A lot of people on my floor had ice chests. And because I have Ember's food. So I had my oatmeal, but I had to go downstairs to Starbucks and get some oat milk because I forgot to bring some. So I needed it for my oatmeal and for my hot cocoa. Because, yes, I brought my NutriBullet and I brought my Velvetizer. And guess what? How much do you suppose oat milk, 16 ounces, 2 cups of oat milk? Starbucks charged me $9 for 16 ounces of oat milk. Okay? Still cheaper than I could have gotten breakfast. For lunch on Thursday, or no, wait, I got there Thursday and then Friday. For lunch on Friday, I went to lunch with Dan Zamora. Okay? And you're guessing in the chat room, you're guessing $30, $50, $33. And that's for the lentil soup, the salad, and the mint tea. I'll tell you at the end of the segment. So Friday, I went to the Grain Cafe for lunch with Dan Zamora. I had a bowl of clam chowder, a Cobb salad, and a drink. Vegan. He had a vegan tuna melt and a drink. With tip, lunch was $72. This is a cafe. It's not fine dining. Okay? $72 for lunch for 2 people. He had a tuna melt with fries, a vegan one, and I had a Cobb salad, soup, and a drink. $72 with tip. Yep. Then for dinner, Sean and Aldo took me to an Italian restaurant that's vegan on 4th and Molino. We split a 10-inch pizza. We split a meatball appetizer. And we split an entree of pasta, which was this much pasta. This was it on the plate. That much. It was in a log shape, and it was that much pasta. Then they got a dessert, and we all 3 had a beverage. With Sean's glass of wine and tip, dinner was $145 to split a pizza, split a meatball appetizer, and split a pasta entree, and then a scoop of pistachio ice cream and an apple crumble. With tip, $150. That makes no sense to me. And when I try to make it make sense, they say, oh, well, we have soaring rent. There's soaring food cost. I'm like, yes, but only 9% of America are millionaires. So who are you selling your food to? Because I could have made all of that at home, all of it at home, for under $40 with the soaring food cost. And that's what's not making sense to me. They act like I can't cook. I know how much it costs to make pasta. I have a pizza oven. I know how much it costs to make pizza. I know how much it costs to make a vegan meatball, with 4 slices of bread. It doesn't cost $150 or even $75 or even $40. So why are they charging it? Gas should be $1 a gallon because we produce our own, but it's not. Restaurants could be charging half the price that they're charging and still be turning a profit, but they don't. I'm not understanding. I check into the hotel. They say, do you have a car? I said, well, yeah, how do people get here? And they said, okay, I'll just give you a parking pass. And I said, oh, and how much is that? The hotel room was $150 a night. Parking at the Hilton in Long Beach was $35 a night. That is 20% of the charge for the room. My car cost 20% to park for what the room cost. The hotel owns the parking lot. It is incumbent. That's like going to Walmart or Target and having to pay to park. It makes no sense to me. How do hotels charge so much for parking? That makes no sense, and the people just put up with it. Well, sir, that's what it cost us. If that's what it cost you, you got a bad deal with the parking company, honey. There's no valet. It wasn't like I was parking in the, grand dame of parking. I was in a basement. $35 a day to park. For 3 days, $105 to park a fucking car. How is that even feasible? How is it allowed? Why do people not make laws against that and say hotels have to make and then you pay $150 for the room, but then it says 12% this tax, 13% that tax, 14% this tax, 3% usage fee. So suddenly $150 becomes $200. Plus the parking, $235. So the room isn't really $150, the room is $235. How are they getting away with not telling you that? So there is all of that makes no sense to me. And we're sitting at the Grain, and I'm getting melancholy about living in Long Beach again. Like, oh, I'd move back here. And there's a house right across the street for sale. And this is in the Alamitos Bay area of Long Beach. There's Craftsman Homes. It's a nice little area. It's not Beverly Hills. It's not, but it's a nice little area. So I pop open Zillow, okay? And I look at the house on Zillow. It is a 1-bedroom Craftsman home. 1 bedroom. Craftsman. And my friend Hannah says, well, it can't be that much then. $899,000. Almost $1 million for a 1-bedroom Craftsman home on a busy street in Long Beach. $900,000. When I was at the park, I thought, oh, look at all the gays and look at all, I want to come back. There's rainbow sidewalks. So I popped Zillow open and I looked at all the condos that were for sale around the gay district. Not one below $500,000. And that was 1 bedrooms. That makes no sense to me because I don't know who can afford that. I don't know who's buying these properties. Who's buying a $900,000 1-bedroom house? Who? The mortgage is $6,000 a month. That means you have to make $200,000+. They're not. Makes no sense. No sense at all. So yes, I had a disabled plaque, and yes, they can charge you for parking. They certainly can. Because I told them. I said, I have a handicap plaque in my car. I'm in the disabled spot. And they charged me anyway. So there we go. So that didn't make sense to me. And then there's so much in the world today that just doesn't make sense to me. The stock market is doing so well. I've talked to 3 people who are invested in the stock market and they're happy as shit. Oh yeah, we're making a fortune. And I thought, how is the stock market making so much money if we're all so broke? And so I asked an expert. And they said, well, the stock market is driven by profits, how much profits the companies are making. And the companies are making record profits. I said, how are companies making record profits if we're broke and and they said, well, because everything's so expensive. And I go, so then they're gouging us. They're war criminals. So every Fortune 500 company on Wall Street that is making record profits are actually war profiteers profiting off of us, the people who can't afford it. And people are happy about this. The people making the money on the stock market are joyous about it. The stock market should be in the tank because no company should be making a huge profit because they shouldn't be raping us. But they are. That makes no sense. That used to be illegal. War profiteering used to be illegal. Now they're reveling in it on Wall Street. They're loving it. That makes no kind of sense. You know? So
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
and then there is one of the biggest doesn't make sense to me in the world sort of things. This was Donald Trump as reported by CNN. This was his leaving the NBC interview. I'm sure you all heard about it, but here's a 2-minute report that CNN did.
Wildest interviews with President Trump that I've ever seen.
Let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please, I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
Now, this interview with NBC's Kristen Welker had already been awkward because the sound of the rain outside had been distracting.
Because it was raining, I got a little bit angry at them. I was not happy with them, but we had a good time.
Trump cut off the interview early after Welker pressed him for evidence about his conspiracy theories. First about January 6th rioters' lives being destroyed by the government, and then about California elections being rigged.
What they did to the lives of people, they destroyed people. They sent people to jail who did nothing
All
wrong.
right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying, but
There's
let me
a lot
ask you
of
about
evidence.
Todd Blanche. Let me ask you about
listen
Todd
to me.
Blanche.
Listen to me.
Let's talk
There's
about Todd
tremendous evidence. There's nothing
Well,
but
it's not been
evidence.
presented
The election
in a
was
court of
rigged.
law.
It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now
You've
in
never
California.
presented evidence
It's happening
that the
right
2020
now in
election
California.
was rigged.
Right now, it's look at what's
Where's
happening
the
in
evidence
California.
to that?
It's
The
4
Republicans are
days.
doing well in
California, it's no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close
That's
to
how
coming
they-
up
that's
with it.
how they count
You know
the
why they're
votes in
doing that? Because
California.
they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence
They're-
to support
all I
that?
have to do is look.
CNN fact-checker Daniel Dale says Trump has been lying about California elections for years, pushing conspiracy theories about liberals rigging the elections without any evidence. When Welker fact-checked Trump to his face, he responded with insults and smears.
You're either crooked or you're stupid.
Let's
You play
continue.
right into their hands with this rap.
Trump flashing his anger there and showing he doesn't have real answers to Welker's questions.
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked,
Mr.
and so
President-
is ABC and CBS and CNN.
Welker did say afterward that she spoke on the phone with the president the next day and he agreed to another interview. This is one of the wildest
There is so much about that clip that doesn't make sense to me. There is so much about that clip that doesn't make sense to me. We won't be able to unpack it all in this segment. There is so much. Okay, about the lentil soup, fattoush salad, and the drink. $39. $39. So you guys were close. $39. And I thought, I can't. I'm going to have to eat in the room, So, yeah. So the rich are getting richer, the poor are getting poorer. The K economy is right. That's exactly what it is, where the rich are going this way and the poor are going this way. Now they're saying it's the L-shaped economy, actually, with the rich just going this way and the poor going this way. There's so much with that clip that makes no sense to me, that they just don't. First of all, and particularly female reporters, when this man unleashes on you, you need to A, unleash back. Stop being so fucking professional. If a seated president sits across from you and calls you stupid, that is a personal attack. Okay? You have every right at that point to defend yourself. You have every right to say, excuse me, sir, I am not stupid, and it is beneath the office of the president to call someone such, so it appears to me the only stupid one around here is you. You're the convicted felon. You're the one in the Epstein files more than Christ is in the Bible. Okay, so you want to start throwing around stupid? How stupid of it is to be friends with a child sex trafficker, not one but two, Vince McMahon. Hello. How stupid is it to commit 34 felonies? How stupid is it to molest a woman in a dressing room? You want to talk stupid, sir? I think you sort of hold the crown when it comes to stupidity. But they don't. They take it. Second of all, what doesn't make sense to me, given his contempt for the media, why do they continue to interview him and put him in front of their cameras? If I ran a network, there would be a Donald Trump blackout. No journalist would interview him. None of his press conferences would be covered. Complete and total. How do you deal with a narcissist, which is what he is? How do you deal with an out-of-control narcissist? Take away their oxygen. How do you do that? Remove the cameras. Remove the attention. Stop paying attention to him. Oh, but he's depressed. So what? All he's going to do is lie and berate you. Stop. The press pool, the room should be empty. Air Force One, no one should get on the plane with him. At least not respectable media. You know, Bill Maher, who has turned into the biggest asshole I have ever seen. Really, if I ever meet him, I'll be like, what the fuck happened to you? Bill Maher said that Democratic or progressive artists not performing at the now canceled American 250 event shows they are not patriotic and that they don't love America. Fuck you, Bill Maher. Would Jews perform for Hitler? He is a modern-day Hitler. Whether anyone likes that comparison or not, he fits the bill. He's a modern-day Hitler. Jews would not go to a concert. Streisand would not perform for Hamas. If Hamas was having a peace concert in Gaza, don't expect Streisand to show up. So the notion, Bill Maher, just because you suck Trump dick doesn't mean everybody else has to. And you know how I know Bill Maher sucks Trump dick? Because he hasn't been named an enemy. Do you know that David Pakman now has a page at the White House, at their official website? They have labeled him an enemy. David Pakman. Probably Stephanie Miller and Tom Hartman and all of them. I looked for me. I'm not there yet. But a lot of progressive hosts are on a White House page, a page from the U.S. government about enemies of the state. Bill Maher ain't on it. There was a time in his career when he would have been, but he's not now. Why? Because he says stupid shit like that. Liberal performers not wanting to perform at the America 250 means they're just not patriotic or they don't love America. Or it could mean they love America so much they're not going to go and perform for the person who's destroying it. How about that? How about that, Bill Maher? Oh, there's so much I don't understand. We're going to talk about more things that I don't understand when we come back. Okay? Because I don't get it. The world gone mad. Nothing makes sense anymore. Up is down. Right is left. Right is wrong. Lord, I'm being profound today.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Corralcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Corralcast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Corralcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Corralcast, driving you home or driving you crazy.
Now it's your time.
All right, so back to that interview that makes no sense to me. Why journalists continue to interview him makes no sense to me. Why, if he insults and berates you as a journalist, you don't fire back at him, I have no clue. You know, oh, we have to respect the office. He doesn't. So no, respect is earned, and he's earned none. He's a killer. The man is an actual murderer. He ordered the murder of people on Venezuelan boats that, with no act of war, no nothing, he gave the order to kill people on Venezuelan boats. He bombed a school in Iran. The man's a murderer, okay? I mean, just by definition. It was premeditated. He meant to do it. He wanted them to die. That's murder. I don't care who does it, president or not, he's a murderer. Okay, so that's the first thing. And we know he molests young people. We know that. So why the journalists take it from him, I'll never understand. Second of all, this argument of his, okay, about every election that Republicans don't win being rigged, no one has ever looked him in the face and said, sir, you believe elections are rigged. Yes, I do. Rigged, all rigged. So that means that your election was rigged, correct? If you believe they're rigged and you know how to rig them, and you always say you won in a landslide, are we to assume that Elon Musk tampered with the machines and your election was rigged? Oh, no, mine was not rigged. That's what he'd say. His logic has none. If every election, and he screams, every election is rigged. If every election is rigged, then so was his. Which means that he is an illegitimate president put in by a rigged election, by his own statements. And the media never turns that around on him. Not one has ever asked him, so then you're an illegitimate president, correct? You say that all elections are rigged, therefore the general in 2024 must have been rigged, and you won it. So, well, no, that one wasn't rigged. Oh, so all the others were rigged, but not that one. There's no logic there. That makes no sense. I don't understand how a person can run around screaming about rigged elections and no one turn it around and ask him and say, so then your election was rigged. Why don't they do that? Why doesn't every member of the press say, so who rigged your election? If all elections are rigged and they're all so easily manipulated, then how did you win? If the Democrats and liberals can rig elections, like in California where he doesn't like, so easily, then why didn't Kamala Harris win? And if you won, does that mean you rigged the election? No one's asked him that. Nobody. No one has asked him that. Oh, to a few people in the chat room saying, Corral, I've seen affordable condos in Seal Beach. Why don't you look there? No, you're seeing affordable condos in Leisure World, okay? Leisure World is a 55 and over retirement community, but to buy into Leisure World, you have to have the price of the condo plus an additional $200,000 in the bank in reserve. You cannot move in unless you can buy the condo and have $200,000 in the bank in reserve. It is a requirement. I asked. I saw those too. They were like $235, $250, $275. I thought, I'll live in Leisure World. And my realtor said, do you have $200,000 in the bank? I said, well, no. And they said, well, then you can't live in Leisure World. Even if you finance the condo, if you don't pay for it all up front, you still have to have $200,000 in reserves to move in. So can't move in. There's that. So, and that makes no sense to me. See, today's a whole day of things that don't make sense. That doesn't make sense. If you can afford to buy the condo, if you can afford the monthly payments, who are they to say how much money you have to have in the bank to live there? But they do and they can't. Makes no sense, but they do and they can't.
If you're not visiting reallycorrell.com daily,
So journalists never
you're
turn the
missing
question
out.
around.
Get the podcast videos and the blog, including recipes at reallycorell.com. That's really KAREL.com.
Showtime is here, no time to fear. Corel is so near because showtime is here. So on with the show, let's give it a go. Corel is the one that you need to know.
So make this make sense. We live in a time of record corporate profits, but record extreme hardship from the people giving them those profits. Make that make sense. We are allowing corporations to make billions in profits while we struggle with just essentials. Make that make sense. It makes none. Donald Trump has nothing but contempt for the media. But the media still acts like they need Donald Trump. They don't need Donald Trump. There's a myth that the media needs to report. Do you know who doesn't report on Donald Trump's every gaseous fart? BBC, France 24, NHK World. There's plenty of news in the world, and there's plenty of news in the United States. Spencer Pratt's getting his ass kicked now in Los Angeles. He's not going to be in the runoff for mayor. Trump is furious. Now they're threatening to cut off federal funds to California. I say let them. And then Gavin Newsom should cut off all federal funds to the U.S. government. Let them survive without California paying them. They can't. They can't. If California stopped giving the feds money, things would shut down. So go ahead, play that game. California gives the feds more money than they take from the feds. So if the feds stop giving them money, just deduct that from what you were going to give to them. See what Congress does then. You want news people should be talking about? In 2022, I'm sorry. In 2032, the Social Security Trust Fund runs out of money. 2032. Benefits will be cut by at least $500 per person. If you're on Social Security, can you live on $500 less? Are you hearing anybody talk about this? Nope. No. Because they want it to run out. Republicans don't want to pay Social Security. That makes no sense. There is just so much that just, I don't understand. This man can sit there and berate the press and they keep coming back for more. It's like, why? Just abandon him. Do not report on him. Report on anybody else. Not him. See what happens. See how that man would implode if everybody stopped putting a microphone in front of his face. Oh my God, he'd die. He would melt down and die. He really, truly would. But they won't do it. They won't. I don't know why. Well, because they have no self-respect. If I'm ever interviewing someone and they call me stupid, they're going to get it right back. Right back. And if they don't like it, they can get the fuck off my show. The Today Show. And NBC should have more respect for their journalists. NBC should say, you know what? After the way Donald Trump treated our journalist, he's not allowed on our network anymore. If he were any other guest, any celebrity, anybody, and he behaved that way, they wouldn't let him back on the network. They'd say, nope, we're not doing any more interviews with that person. But because he's president, they give him another chance. That is so ridiculous. That is so ridiculous. Oh, they're rigged in California. They're not counting the votes. You can send a ballot up until 11:59 election day, okay, last Tuesday, which means it could take until Friday or Saturday to get to the place you're mailing it to, and then it's going to take them another few days. So it's going to take a week or two to count all those ballots. But he wants it done quick. Yet he screams about rigged elections, but when a state is taking the time to actually count them accurately, he gets mad, calls it rigged. Oh, so accurately counting the ballots is rigged? To him, it is. Because he doesn't deal in accurate counts if they're losing. Had he lost to Kamala Harris, he'd be screaming to this day how it was rigged. But he is. He still hasn't gotten over his loss to Joe Biden. That is the biggest crushing thing of his life, that he didn't get an immediate second term. Oh, that just hurts him. It kills him. It irks him. It's the thing that he wakes up thinking about. He goes to bed thinking about it. He overcompensates for that. It's like his small dick, which we all know he has. Stormy Daniel told us. So it's like his eeny teeny peeny. He just overcompensates. And it's so sad. And it doesn't make any sense why people tolerate him. Why anyone tolerates that man. That's why I'm done with Don Lemon and all these others going out and interviewing people that support him. I am sick to death of hearing from these fucking morons that support Donald Trump. If you support Donald Trump, keep it to yourself, because you're just going to show what an idiot you are. Okay, so and it's not because you're a conservative. It's not because you have different political views than I do. Nope. It's because you support one of the worst human beings to ever walk planet Earth. That's why. He's not a conservative. He's not a Republican. He's not even MAGA. He is a self-serving narcissist and only does what's good for him. If you support that, you truly don't have enough brain cells to even talk to me, let alone put your views out into the world. And so if I walk up and I'm doing a man on the street and someone says, well, I support Donald Trump, as far as I'm concerned, okay, bye. Because wouldn't you do that to a Nazi? If you walk up to someone and they say, well, I support Adolf Hitler, wouldn't you be like, have a nice day? You wouldn't ask why. You wouldn't care. You would know they're a xenophobic racist. You would just walk away. Anyone that supports Donald Trump is a xenophobic racist. And I don't care if they're black. I know there are black Trump support. They are xenophobic and they are racist. There's no two ways about that. And they're ill-informed and have no critical thinking. So that makes no sense to me. Why we give credibility to these people? Why do we give them a platform? Why do we give them a voice? They shouldn't have a voice. Not everybody should have a voice. Roseanne Barr can sing. She shouldn't. Okay? Well, she should sing it in home, in private. Everybody should sing, but she should never sing in public because she has no voice. She has no tonality. She's tone deaf. And that's what I think of Donald Trump and his supporters. Sing at home. Sing amongst yourself. But don't come out here in the world and spread your off-key, off-note, off everything. Nope. Nope. But they do. And I don't understand it. But that's not what's the major thing on my mind. You know what the major thing on my mind is? So I saw my cardiologist. My aorta is at 4.31. Okay? Anything above 3.8 is abnormal. Mine's at 4.31. If you get to 4.5, you can only lift a certain amount of weight. And if you get to 5.0 or 5.2 for a man, they go in and fix it. Now, he laughed. He goes, I wish you'd stop worrying about your aorta. You are 10 to 15 years away from needing any kind of intervention. And when you do need it, it's going to be changed from the open heart to probably going in through the groin. Even though I have it in the very worst spot, the aortic root and then the ascending aorta. And the reason that's a bad place to have it being growing is because of the other veins or arteries that actually branch off of it to your brain, to your arms, and putting a graft in there, it has to be custom to have holes where the other arteries are. Now, prior to now, in the last 50 years, the way they treat that is to open you up, and then they custom make one right there on the spot while they're doing it, and then they put it in and then sew you up. Well, now they can 3D print your heart and your aorta, and then they can send that 3D model to the graft maker, and they can make it, conform to your heart and your aorta. There's been 3 patients so far that have had it done through the groin in the area where I have it, and they are fine. They are alive and they are well. That's just in the last year. So according to ChatGPT and to my doctor, in the next 5 to 10 years, that's going to become the way to treat it. So I probably will never need open heart surgery, even if they have to go in through my groin. So I was talking to him, and I said, hey, I heard GLP-1s can slow down the growth, and I heard, blah, blah, blah. He goes, I'll give you a GLP-1. I said, you will? He said, oh, absolutely. He goes, it'll lower your blood pressure. It will. It can protect from AFib. We're getting great reports about, preventing AFib. And yes, it may slow down the growth of your aorta. He goes, however, I will tell you this. We don't know if it's the drug, the GLP-1, or the fact that you lose weight and your blood pressure goes down and your inflammation drops. So we don't know if the AFib and the aorta slowing down and growing is because of the GLP-1 or because of the weight loss from the GLP-1. So he left it up to me. Oh, and my sleep apnea. He said it'll also help your mild sleep apnea. So he left it up to me, and I don't know what to decide. The next day after he left it up to me, that Mayim Bialik said that she took 1 shot and was so sick she had to have IVs. She had explosive diarrhea, stomach cramps beyond belief, indigestion, all kinds of symptoms that mimic colitis, just horribleness. For 2 weeks, she was down for the count after 1 shot, had to have IVs at home, all kinds of stuff. So Friday, my doctor offers me a GLP-1. Saturday, I read this horrible reaction that Mayim Bialik is having. And I'm like, So I don't know what to do. There are a lot of things I have that it appears it will help. Yes, I'd like to lose 30 pounds. Yes, I'd like my aorta to not grow as fast. And yes, I'd like to be protected from future episodes of AFib. And yes, I'd like my sleep apnea to go away. Allegedly, it'll do all those things. But in 1/3 of the patients, you get indigestion, heartburn, diarrhea, pancreatitis. Some people go blind. A few people have died. And so I'm like, Knowing how I am with side effects after the shingles shot, I got shingles and meningitis. I'm like, Now, he said I'd be on the lowest dose. He said, you will be on the lowest dose. And so side effects usually happen with the highest doses. And he's you'll be on the lowest. I don't know what to do. I would like all the benefits of the GLP-1. And my friends that are on them, I have 4 friends on them, and they're raving. Oh, they feel better than ever. They're losing weight. They just have more energy. They feel, do I take it? And he said if I take the GLP-1, I will probably get off my blood pressure medicine because he has patients that start taking it and they faint. And when they find out why, it's because their blood pressure pill is no longer needed. So he's like, if I give it to you, I want you to monitor your blood pressure every day. And if it starts getting too low, decrease your blood pressure pills. I don't know. I mean, it appears to be the wonder drug, It appears to be the drug. But I don't know. Part of me says do it naturally. Part of me says, hey, do it naturally. Here's the problem. Today I started logging. I'm seeing a nutritionalist on the 14th. And today I started logging all of my food. And with my snacks and with my dinner and my lentil soup tonight, because I already know that's what I'm having for dinner, lentil soup. And with my breakfast and with my mid-morning snack, I am already at 1,100 calories for the day with my 2 cups of fruit that I'll have another cup later and, all of that. So I literally have for lunch about 550 calories. That's nothing. That's nothing. So that's my problem. My problem with all the things that I already eat every day, my oatmeal, the walnuts, the soy milk, the tea, the creamer, I cut out the sugar. My hot cocoa, I cut out the sugar in that. I use sugar-free Tirani, half a bagel, which is only 120 calories, with smashed fruit, which is a fruit jam made with no sugar. It's just fruit and chia. That's all it is. Fruit, chia, and lemon. I'm going to teach you how to make it on the show. That's only 25 calories per tablespoon. I just use 1 tablespoon. And so with all of that, it leaves about 400 or 500 calories for lunch. Well,
Patreon is the way to show you care. Subscribe today if you dare. Keep the show on there. Patreon is the way. Now it's showtime.
I don't know. Would you all take it if you were me? Would you go on the GLP-1 if you were me? I don't know. They say it'll help my mild sleep apnea through weight loss. Or would you just be really diligent about calories and start losing weight naturally and see if it does the same thing as the medication? I don't know. The only reason I really want to go on it is the aorta, and according to research, anecdotally, they have found that it helps protect against AFib. People that had ablations and they're on a GLP-1, it was shown that they had less AFib afterwards. So, and he even said it's helping people with AFib. I don't ever want to go into AFib again. The last time I went in the ICU, you all remember, it scared me. Heart rate above 200, AFib. I was terrified. For 3 days in the ICU, a whole clutching ember. I was terrified. So would you go on one? I don't know. I mean, they're potent drugs. It's not like this is just something minor. These are messing with your pancreas, your liver, your kidneys, your endocrine system, your hormones. My friend Hannah loves them. My friend Sean just went on Ozempic. He's, not having any problem with it. My producer, Leo Frappier, he's on them. And they're all doing okay. So I have kind of a complicated medical history, so I'm just not sure if I should go on it. I don't know. It's a big medical decision. People act like it's not. It is, and it should be. It's a big if you're facing going on one, think about it. Okay? But I could get the prescription today, honey. If I emailed him and said, "Yeah, go ahead and call it in," I could get it. I could shoot myself up this afternoon. Give me the Manjaro. I don't know. Between Ember's chewing, we still can't find out what it is. The labs haven't come back on her $600 blood test. But it was less in Long Beach, believe it or not. Not much less, but less. It shouldn't do it as much. I don't know why that would be. Allergies, nerves, stomach upset, less pain. I don't know. So between that and my decision about GLP-1, I don't know. I don't want diarrhea. I don't want constipation. I don't want heartburn. Oh, these are mild side effects. I don't want that. I don't get those things now. I poop just fine. So would it be worth it? I don't know. I think I should try 90 days of just working with a nutritionalist and trying to get the weight off naturally. And then see what happens to the blood pressure if it comes down enough to get off medication. See if my aorta grows on the next. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know if I should just rush to get on them. I kind of do. I mean, everyone else is. I mean, it seems to be a wonder drug. But so did Fen-Phen. And look what happened. Wasn't good. Oh, well, okay. What a show. So one of the themes today was things that don't make sense. Things that just don't make sense. It doesn't make sense to pay for a hotel room and then have them charge you for parking. That does not make sense to me. It does not make sense. I'm like, how can you have a parking lot? You're a hotel. People drive. You're a hotel. You are for travelers. By definition, people coming to your venue are going to have a car. At least half. Maybe half will be flying, but the other half will have cars, probably rental cars. So how can you charge for parking? It makes no sense to me. They're just raping you on that. How can the media continue to pay attention to Donald Trump when he berates them and insults them? How come they haven't turned around the rigged election conversation to ask him, well, then your election was rigged too, right? How can Wall Street be making record profits when we're draining our pocketbook every single day for gas and for food and for anything else? Why is that even being allowed? So I'd like you down below to post things that don't make sense to you. What in today's world just doesn't make sense? That makes no sense to me. You know what else makes no sense? The 15. The freeway from Las Vegas to LA. That makes no fucking sense. 2 lanes with hundreds and hundreds of trucks and asshole drivers that will not go the speed limit. And 2 lanes. 2 lanes. The number one artery between California, Nevada, and Utah. The number one artery. 2 lanes. The street in front of my house has 6 lanes. Okay? But the main artery between states, 2 lanes. What the actual fuck? That makes no sense. None. Maybe 50 years ago it did. Maybe 100 years ago. But now? And a high-speed train down the middle that no one can afford that stops at Rancho Cucamonga and doesn't even go into L.A.? That's not going to help with traffic. That makes no sense. None. Can any of you explain that? I cannot. Why haven't they widened it, doubled it, stacked it, whatever? But 2 lanes each direction, so 4 lanes, makes no sense. One wreck happens and everything stopped. That's just stupid. Oh, there's so much that's stupid. There's so much in this world that makes no sense. That just makes no sense at all to me. So I'd like to hear from you down below. What makes no sense to you? What are things in your world, things that make you go, You go, I don't, this doesn't make sense to me. I'd like to hear ones that you have. I've given you plenty today of mine, so I'd like to hear from you. What things in your world just don't make sense to you? Okay. I am Carell. You be who you want to be, so it doesn't hurt you, buddy. We'll be back tomorrow, of course, with another whirlwind cavalcade on a Tuesday. I think that later in the week, we're going to have another This Gay Week with Scott over in Ukraine, where I hope he is safe, because we know there's all these bombs dropping and things going on and just terrible stuff. So we'll be back. Until then, stay safe. And don't forget, I love you, patrons. Patreon.com/Lily Carell if you want to become a patron. Like and subscribe to this video. And, of course, leave your comments down below. What are some of the things that do not make sense to you? You just can't reconcile them. I'm like, what? I don't get it. Put them down below.
It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carellcast on your favorite streaming service. You're listening to the Carellcast. Driving you home or driving you crazy. It's broadcasting from a completely different point of view. Yours. Listen daily to the Carellcast on your favorite streaming service.
Showtime is